Welcome, my name's Gwyn Batten and I'm doing a post-recording of some of the bits that didn't quite make sense as we cut out all the other sections of the player community seminar that took place on Monday and Tuesday night. So really, we had a great time. We had some really great speakers. We had some really brilliant facilitators that came from our community. And the session that I'm putting in, recording now, post the event, is around player voice. It's the introductory session to creating our player community leadership group. And it's really important that as we set up this opportunity for player voice, we have a little look at what it might mean for us. So what is player voice and how important is player voice to us in the volleyball community? I personally come from a background where I was heavily involved in athlete representation. In my sport, which was rowing, I was elected as an athlete representative. I then went on to chair our athlete representative group and work with our performance team to ensure that as athletes our voice was heard. I subsequently went on and sat on the British Olympic Association's Athletes Commission, which would after every Olympics, we would undertake an athlete report and we would then feed that back into the British Olympic Association to improve the journey and the opportunities for players as they went forward. I went on to chair that group, and then subsequently with other athletes we then set up the British Athletes Commission, which is still going today, that represents the interests of athletes in the UK. So I've got a lot of experience in this space, and we've had some wonderful speakers, including Madeline, who has shared with us so much insight into the importance of player voice and the intricacies of how that works within volleyball. So player voice is really important for a healthy sport. Player voice is quite difficult to get into position, and it needs some really creative and ambitious players to come forward to make that voice heard. So I've done a little bit of research and a bit of thinking of what does it mean? Who is speaking when a player voice is being heard? Well, there's 4 levels, and I've used the Centre for Youth Voice or Youth Impact as a model by which we can look at player voice. Player voice could be just an individual sharing their personal views and ideas about their own experiences, or it could be a team, a collective group of people from within a team. So whether it's the junior boys team or the senior women's team, sharing their agreed ideas and values about their combined experiences to their coach or to their club. And then I guess probably the bit that we're talking about, that I'm talking about, and we're looking for this leadership group to come forward, is about representative voice. A player or a group of players who represent the views and ideas of their peers. And it's that representative views that we're looking for people to put their name forwards and be part of the leadership group. Now, we went out there and we asked people how important player voice is. And pretty much through the seminar we had 4s and 5s, so it's pretty important. So I think that's very much a no-brainer in that space. And then the next bit for me, if you look at this model, is who's being influenced. And I think this is the really exciting bit for me, is, you know, we can go out there and we can influence our clubs and our teams, okay? And I think that's really important, and that's really integral for that, for your experiences, for your immediate experience. But then there's the next layer up. There's the how do we influence the county, the regions, and the national decision makers? How do we have input as player voice? How do we get that input into there? Rules, policy, regulations, maybe future strategy, some of those decision making things. It's really important that we get that balance of player voice into there. And the bit that really inspired me, and the bit that I went through in my journey and started to realize, is that as players, our voice, and when we come together, our voice can echo well beyond our sport. And the power of player voice, whether it's through your social media or whether or not it's through the collective attitude that the players have in showcasing their sport, we can influence way beyond volleyball. We can influence the type of commercial sponsors that come into our game. We can influence what the spectators do. And I think that gift is very much at the feet of players within volleyball. So yeah, so we got different layers at who is being influenced and how we adapt the player voice to meet those. And of course, we then in the session that we did, we talked about the people that were on the call, at what level they're currently engaged and influenced. And what was really interesting, we had a real range, you know, and some of it's within volleyball and some of it's outside. So it was really great to see that we're already actively engaging, but are we coordinated and organized? So why did we need player voice? Well, I guess really for me, and sometimes perhaps people think this is a no-brainer, I think it's to ensure the views of the people playing volleyball are heard, and heard by the people that are making those decisions about the sport, to ensure the sport remains relevant. Because as you get older and potentially you're a player and you then become a chair of a region, or you start organising one of the competitions, you're already, every minute that you're moving away from being that active player in your 20s or your 30s, you're becoming less relevant. And I think it's really important that we remain relevant, we remain in touch with that experience. And then I guess the other bit that's really important, I believe, is sport is about that sense of belonging. It's about inclusivity. It's about making sure that it's healthy, whether it's physical health or mental health. And player welfare is really important, and it's really important to protect. And I think that that is one of the key areas that the player voice will have an input into. So finally, I guess for me is ways, what does that look like? So, you know, we've got the who's speaking, who's being influenced, but where are we putting this voice? And I think one of the things, the highlights for me, is that we have an annual player survey that was really well. We have a really good return rate on that, and I thank players for doing that. That's really, really important in influencing what we do. But I think there's more than that. You know, at the top here, we've got groups with responsibilities, and you know, in the same way that we have subgroups looking at our workforce, and we've got subgroups looking at the get, keep, grow, so the grassroots of our sport. How can we make sure that there is a group where the players are coming together? So there's lots of different things. Can we put an informal conversation in there? Can we do an player engagement event at some of the events that we do? Can we make sure that if there is this leadership group, that you know they're out there listening to players at all different levels? And I hope that we can do this every year, the player community seminars, or whether we call it a forum or whatever. What it is, an annual opportunity for players to get together, hear from really cool people, and then share their voice. And I guess the other bit is the importance of players' personal social media, that broadcasting of their voice out into the community. So what does that mean? And I guess it means there's a lot of stuff we could do, but the question is where would that player community want to focus its attention first? Whether or not it's around future competitions and regulations, whether it's about lifestyle support in the way that we had Claire from the UK Sport Institute come and talk to us, whether or not it's about anti-doping or player welfare or long-term strategy for Volleyball England, or whether or not it's engaging around the sponsors and commercial partners or the promotion of our sport. And I guess that's really, as we pull the leadership group together, that will be one of the first things they consider, where they want to focus their attention first. So I fundamentally believe we're looking for at least 6 people to be on the player leadership group. We want to have a good balance across the genders. We want to make sure that we have people from all 3 disciplines. And ideally from different standards, all the way from Team England to local players, and with a breadth of ages. We're looking for people that are over the age of 16 to be part of this group. So really, if you think you want to be part of that player leadership group, please express your interest, and this will be coming out in the next few days. So thank you, and let's hope this is the beginning of a really well established player voice within Volleyball England going forward. Thank you.